What should I expect at my first meeting with a criminal defense firm? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. Okay, so someone decides they need a defense attorney and they come to you, and do they just meet with you, the attorney?
Well, no, and the key to this question is a criminal defense firm. And so when you come to Just Criminal Law, you're not going to meet with the attorney on the first meeting. And this is good because the attorneys are busy working on client matters. And so they are working with current clients, with the prosecutor, with the courts in order to help the people that have hired the firm. Now, if you go and meet with an attorney at a different firm, you know that that attorney is meeting with people who are not clients. They're meeting with people who are not prosecutors. They're not working with the courts. They're meeting with someone who's a potential client but not a paying client. And so that really matters once you retain that attorney or you retain that firm, because you as a client then have the priority and the attorney is working on your matter. Now, when you come to Just Criminal Law, that doesn't mean you're going to meet with somebody who doesn't have experience or who can't help you decide whether or not to hire an attorney. You will meet with our criminal investigator. And that's another positive sign, because not only do we have attorneys that work for Just Criminal Law, but we also have a full-time investigator dedicated to helping put together a file and gather evidence for our clients. And so right out of the gate, you get to meet with that investigator who talks to you and starts to help you preserve any evidence that maybe needs to be directly preserved.
Okay, so the investigator is sort of learning about your case and gathering information, I suppose, so you must have to bring something to this.
Yes, we recommend that if you've got a criminal charge and you've got a court date, bring your supporting documents. Sometimes you have a felony information and a warrant that was served on you when you were arrested, and that contains some information about what the state is relying on for evidence against you. Bring any information. Maybe you just received a ticket from the court with a court date and the specific charge that you're facing. You might have bond paperwork. And then also, when you get out of jail, start documenting what happened. You might think, oh man, that was such a bad experience. I'm never going to forget a single minute of what happened to me. But that's just not how it works. And so start putting together a timeline, perhaps, where you can generally memorialize what happened. And then as you recall details, fill it in. Over time, keep a record of that. And then also keep a record of any questions that you might have, because again, you might think, man, I have 100 questions, and I'm going to remember all of them at that first meeting. But, again, that's just not how it works. You might be nervous or get distracted as to, what all of your questions are. So that's a good start as far as what you should bring to your first meeting.
Yeah, so it's really you're going to get more out of it if you bring more to the equation as it goes. So at this meeting, the investigator will do all this learning and going over your stuff and your story, and then what happens at that point? What's the outcome of this meeting?
Sure. Our investigator is talking to you, deciding if you would be a good client for Just Criminal Law. You're asking questions and getting an understanding of what Just Criminal Law does for their clients and deciding if we are a good firm for you. And during this first meeting, my investigator decides, okay, I think this is a case and a client we want to work with and work on. And, the potential new client is, gauging whether or not they think Just Criminal Law will do a good job for them. And once these two, the investigator and the potential new client, both decide, yeah, I think we'd like to work together, Then our investigator helps the person figure out, okay, how do we get just criminal law to represent us? What is the fee? What are the next steps once I'm able to hire just criminal law? And really gives you a plan when you walk out of that meeting of what you should do maybe to preserve more evidence, what you should do to collect the fee, how can I afford them? And, the investigator will actually help you go over that as well. And then what is the next thing to do? Do I go to court now with the lawyer? What happens once the court knows that I'm represented by just criminal law? So really you walk away from that meeting knowing what evidence needs to be preserved, really knowing what you're facing, if you have this criminal charge against you and what the potential consequences are, and then figuring out how to get us into the case. And, once you do that, we have you sign a service agreement where you know what we'll do and we know what you'll do, and it's all very, very black and white and straightforward.
Okay, so prior to that step, there's a call or text to you. So how might they do that?
Sure, we'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.